Hi everyone and welcome to another video. Today we're looking at the Picket Studios August release with Stella Puppy. This is a Pawsome stamp, although it is full of sympathy sentiments for, when our friends lose their fur babies, which is one of the most awful and gut-wrenching things ever. So I'm gonna carry on with the card before I get all choked up thinking about my fur babies that I've lost. So I stamped up the puppy with the black hybrid ink on, this is Copic friendly cardstock because I am going to attempt some Copic colouring. And with the help of the MISTI, I have stamped this up twice to get a good solid imprint. And we are going to go ahead and grab some Copic markers. And I have consulted my hex chart to kind of see, which ones are going to work somewhat good. And then I did use a heat tool to just quickly set the ink because it is Copic friendly, but at times you do have to set it with your heat tool, especially if you're going to use light colors or if, like in my case, you stamp it a couple of times to get that really dark imprint. My first color is E59, so this is a really dark brown color, and I'm just going to go around all the edges to basically just outline the doggy first, and then we're gonna go in with all the other colors to kind of, add highlights and lowlights and a bit of life to this sweet doggy. It really does remind me of my first dog ever called Hercules. He was a golden Labrador, or like golden color Labrador, and he was just the biggest softie ever, as well as the naughtiest boy in the whole wide world. Oh my goodness, that boy knew how to trigger me. If anyone has seen the movie Marley and Me or read the book, then yeah, he was up there with Marley when it comes to the naughtiness level. He was incredibly naughty. But a look of, that little face and those puppy dog eyes. Oh, he knew how to play me with those eyes, and he was back in the good graces. Or graces even. So they do that, don't they? Those little sneaky things. Right, so we're going to go back to the coloring now. So the next color I've used is E19. So this is a slightly reddish brown, and I'm just going over all the E59 bits I'm not blending as much as just kind of drawing the color in. This is actually a test piece. I wasn't sure how this was going to go. So I just kind of colored. I thought, we'll see how it goes. And then, yeah. For the rest of the coloring, we are hopping into a time lapse, but you can see, somewhat, you can see the colors that I've used. And I have tried to make sure that I leave the cap of the Copic marker actually in view, but there was one that I missed out. But anyway. So once I was finished with the coloring, I used my scissors and I cut this out somewhat well anyway. And then I had the idea of making a rainbow for my card. And this is my second attempt at the rainbow because the first one was not going overly well. And I will show you the card later, but I will explain all that in my blog post as well. So I thought I'm going to try something different now. So using a sheet of acetate and my card base as a guide, and also my doggy, I drew a line of what was going to be kind of like the bow of the rainbow. And then we're just cutting along this line. And if you do this again, if you take my tip, make sure that you clean off those lines because I did not, and that did actually make a bit of a mess on my card because the pen says it's permanent. It turns out it's not so permanent. So when I started ink blending with the Atelier inks here, the ink that was left on the acetate actually was kind of dragged in, and that probably would have been fine if I started with purple, but I started with yellow. So you will see here, I'm just kind of going along, and I think I might have not realized just yet, but I'm taping down my my card base, but the actual card base with the sheet of acetate. Yes, I did realize. So I'm cutting off that piece, and we're going to try to fix this So luckily I didn't get a huge amount of that ink on my card base, but it still left it looking a little bit dirty, which is a shame. And I probably should have started again, but I was like, well, I mean, I'm just kind of trying and playing along here and seeing how things go. So if you want a super clean look, make sure you clean off your acetates again. And also the reason I chose acetate is because it's so easy to clean off. So with a piece of kitchen roll, I just wiped off the yellow and moved on to my next color, which is Goddess Green. So the first one, the yellow, is Bee Sting Yellow. And now we're going to go in with Goddess Green. And of course I'm using my Life Changing blender brushes to get a super soft look. So even though this is sped up, you can see that I'm not going heavy with the ink. I am just kind of brushing it gently over and not even like going all the way into the next color. Although there was a little bit too much of a gap here. So I'm going to be using the negative bit to just blend in some more yellow to bridge the gap there. And but the next color first is, you can see that I'm adjusting it so that it's not quite such a big gap. The next color is Peacock Blue, and this is a fantastic blue, although, you know, this comes from a blueaholic. I love blue. Blue is my favorite color. One of the things that I did on the other card, which you will see at the end, is that I had mixed, somehow the colors got mixed, so I went from like a green to a turquoise to a blue, and although that was kind of cool too, it was because I used cardstock in between the rainbows, the rainbow layers even. So the ink that was left on the cardstock was then rubbed off. Now here I'm going in with the other color, or the yellow again, to kind of just bridge that gap. So I've used both of these pieces of acetate to kind of keep one, because I wanted the corner white, so that's where my little bridge is, and then the other piece, which is just keeping everything separate, to make sure that it doesn't go over into the green. Are you following me? I'm kind of confusing myself a little bit listening to this now, so I hope you follow. Anyway, so we're gonna move on to the next color, and here I did need to add a little bit more of, I needed a little bit of extra help because my bow wasn't quite big enough. So I guess probably the moral of the story, or the memo to self, if you like, is if you're gonna do this, maybe use a whole entire sheet of acetate so you can actually move the whole thing along wherever you need it to go. I will probably try that next time because I really enjoyed this technique and I loved how this rainbow turned out. This purple is called My Jam Purple, and again, I'm not a huge fan of purple, but I have been really drawn to purple in my card making recently, which is a bit of a revelation, I think. But side note, I guess you could say as well. So purple done. Now we're gonna move on to the last color, and this one is called Marilyn Red, but it's actually more of like a fuchsia pink, I would say. So, you know, things like Marilyn Monroe in which one is that, when she's wearing that hot pink dress and dripping with diamonds. Diamonds is a girl's best friend or something. I need to start watching more classic movies, I think, as well. Right. So last color, and you might have noticed as well that I'm rubbing my brush onto the ink pad, and then I am like dabbing off the excess on the lid. So this is what I call dab, dab, tap, tap. So we're dabbing the brush in the ink, and then we're tapping off the excess. And then that excess, if you need a really soft look for something, you go, instead of going for the full ink pad, you just pick up a little bit of color from the lid, and it will save, I'm saying it will save you ink. That's probably a little bit of a stretch, but it will just help you get those super soft and lovely looks. So my rainbow is done, and now I'm just fiff-faffing about and trying to figure out where I'm going to put my little doggy, and this is where I'm going to go for it. And like a complete and utter idiot, I forgot to film the part where I stamped up the sentiments. But I used the sentiments from the Stella Puppy stamp set, and I've stamped up 2 of them actually. So he may be gone from your lap, but never from your heart, which is so true. And dogs leave paw prints on your heart. Both of these cards can also be found on my blog, and I will link everything down below in the description box. And that's it from me for today. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I hope you enjoy these cards. Thanks now. Bye!